day of the late Honorable Mwai Kibaki banned GMO was based on scientific proof of how dangerous the GMOs can be. And the worst part of it is, Honorable Nominee, the seeds cannot regenerate. You cannot replant a GMO seed. And that's scientific.
I wish you gave me time to continue answering this question, because the research on document that's popularly referred to was later pulled down, or was scientists sent, and this is the information that I have, because even in this country, our biosafety and the biotechnology experts that we have, and people must really be able to understand exactly what GMO is all about. GMO, from my layman's understanding, is the transfer of genetic material, and the truth being that, and if our main problem is food, and I'm sure our government cannot be that careless to allow food that is harmful to our people. I would be asking, Mr. Speaker, the experts, those that support, those that do not support the use of this GMO food, to really to have a discussion on us to agree on how we move forward. But as far as I am concerned, we must choose between what is a lesser evil. We travel quite often. You don't go to America. You don't go to wherever. What we eat is GMO. Yeah? So do we wait for our people to die, or we give them GMO food? And for your information, Mr. Mule, you are a product of GMO. Yeah? When you look at the history of evolution of man, from Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, and now where we are today, it's genetic transfer that has taken place between human beings to where we are today. So when you graft trees, or mango, or lime and the orange, you fuse them together, produce something else different. That is genetic transfer. So let us not...
Window border, Chair. I doubt whether I'm a product of GMO. I'm a product of my parents.
Chair, I think, Chair, the direction we are taking is not being beneficial to the country, because the issues the Honorable Mule is raising on GMO are really not factual. And it is indeed true that the scientist is referring to the French scientist, because I was in the Agriculture Committee in the 11th Parliament, Honorable Speaker, and that scientific information has since been repudiated by other scientists. And therefore, when we are on national TV and we want to make the country believe that GMO is harmful, that there is this science, that the Honorable Mule is not availing to this committee and the country, I think we are not being beneficial. True, Honorable Speaker, if I can finish.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
If I can finish, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is also...
Mr. Speaker.
He's not finished. Hold your horses.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for that protection, because I was saying we should not use this process, Honorable Speaker, of vetting to try and play to the gallery in terms of demonizing what is otherwise government policy. The Honorable Linturi is not yet Minister for Agriculture, and as members of Parliament, we will have the opportunity to interrogate through the relevant committees the issue of GMO. And there is no government policy today that is saying there is no Kenyan farmer or any Kenyan who will be forced by government to either consume or plant GMO food. It is a choice you make. And it is indeed true in America. When you travel to America, you walk into a shop, you have the choice of either buying what is organic or GMO. And I want to believe that will be the policy of government.
Point of order,
Yes, Jeanette.
Chairman, I wanted also to bring to your attention that first I want to tell my leader, the majority leader, that he is the majority leader. He is not going to become the Minister for Agriculture for the next 5 years. The man who has a chance of becoming is the nominee ahead of us, if he is approved. I think he's competent enough to answer those questions. Secondly, Chair, the issue of GMO is a government policy. It was approved at the last cabinet meeting of the government. So it is important to interrogate the nominee very well on a government policy that is going to implement, because he's the implementing authority as the Minister of Agriculture. So, Chair, it's in our place as a committee to know from him, as the man who's going to sell the seeds of the GMO to Kenyans, whether those seeds are safe, what scientists are saying, and what is his thought to make sure that the people who want to eat organic food, and the people who want to eat the GMO eat GMO food.
Mine was just a point of information, Madam Chair, that the theory of evolution of man, as propagated by Charles Darwin, had nothing to do with the genetic engineering.
We don't even need to go there. He had no scientific basis for saying that, so we don't need to go into that.
Chair,
Continue responding to the questions as raised. You had reached Russell.
Mithika, let me also hand up that,
And avoid Honorable Linturi making an substantiated scientific statement.
yeah, let me also hand up, and
Because for sure, mole is not a product of GMO.
I don't want to take that trajectory, Mr. Speaker, but let me end and say that the Ministry of Agriculture and Government, there are certain institutions that have different mandates. Kenya Seed Company, Mr. Speaker, has the mandate to scale up or multiply seeds that are used by our farmers, and there will be that opportunity. There is opportunity for government to grow enough or to germinate enough seed for use by enough seed for use by our farmers. Mr. Speaker, our immediate problem is really food, and of course government will be guided by best practices from other jurisdictions that manage or that consume or use GMO, won't be guided by one of the organization guidelines. Mr. Speaker, will also be, I think, be able to take decisions and say, for example, if this is GMO, we can label the maize that you buy or the food that you buy from our supermarket, so that when you go to your own supermarkets, you are able to identify whether you want GMO or not, or choose to die of hunger and not taking GMO. So because that is a really big problem that we must really address, and address it candidly. I was asked about, I think, is Russell, about livestock. Livestock, Mr. Speaker, is an area that has really required serious support as far as I am concerned. And I mentioned, Russell, that we'll be consulting with the farmers and the county governors, especially for the 21 semi-arid areas, on how we can be able to ensure maximum productivity and reap most for our farmers through livestock. We'll be proposing, since counties have holding areas, they used to be called holding areas for livestock, whether they can see how we can be able to establish food laws so that those animals that really, for us to get more, can be fed from there and you wait, and then you have maximum that you can gain, because you have an institution like KMC that will be able to take up your livestock for commercial. We'll also have probably proposed off-take programs so that when there is drought at a time like now, and ask the government to also to keep a reserve, just like we are providing for food, strategic food reserves. We can also be able to persuade the government to provide for Akite that we will be able to buy livestock during those drought, those very hard times, for purposes of making sure our farmers do not lose their livestock. There is also our livestock insurance program, which we can also really bring in, so that in the event of loss of our animals, then the farmers really do not lose. But all this will happen, Mr. Speaker, if I have that opportunity to discuss with the people that are technical in the ministry, that will advise me, and then we'll be able to appear before you as members and the leaders of this country, because you are the people that are exercising raw power from the public in terms and agreeing on how we want really to our country. To move forward, Mr. Speaker,